What's up, Benchwarmers? Thank you for listening to part one. Now here's part two to Transfer Talk. Hope you enjoy it. Here we go. Yeah, Lukaku. That's shame on you. That was all because of you. Sorry, Lukaku.
I think we can probably. It doesn't look like Palace have made any signings other than maybe one free transfer. I'm looking at if we're all looking at the same page.
They signed
Everton,
this Czech Decore from Lens from Ligue 1. Apparently, he's very highly rated, which if he is another superb pickup from Crystal Palace. I've never watched him, but from what I've heard, from what I've seen, they picked up what Ebericheze from what's it, QPR, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Elise from Reading. The recruitment at Crystal Palace is absolutely a joke right now, man. Gay from Chelsea. Like, oh man, this if you're a Palace fan, man, this is gonna be exciting, man. But yeah, moving on. Diego, where should we go?
Well, I'm looking at Everton, and they also have some loans that have ended, and so they're back at the club. I think the one thing that's worth mentioning, and I don't see it already official here for Spurs, but I think the main talking point for Everton is where does that leave Everton losing a player of Richarlison's caliber and the apparent rumor that Pickford may also be sold. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I remember reading that earlier today. Is this the beginning of the end for Everton? Is it something, because I'm looking at right now the players that they've released, and it looks like they've let go of Tosun, which didn't work out for them. Fabian Delph, which was, I think, a player that served as a useful backup, at least when he was fit. Gylfi Sigurdsson, who mysteriously disappeared.
Let's not talk about that, right?
And disappeared off of the team, and now he's being listed as without a club. And then also El Ghazi, who goes back to Aston Villa after what I think was not very much of a successful loan. After, I think he came during the winter transfer, didn't he, or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
So anyway, the question is, losing Richarlison, which is what we're looking at as the most imminent, is that gonna hurt Everton, or can they crawl back from that? What do you think, Gab?
I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on Calvert-Lewin to just stay fit, because if Calvert-Lewin continues to have a choppy season and just can't quite get the game time because he's injured or what have you, then it's definitely going to hurt him, because who would they have at that point to replace him? Nobody.
They have who is the
Rondon? Is it Rondon there? Is that who it's in?
Fucking Rondon, bro.
Rondon, what was it? Like his like he hadn't played a game in like a little over like a month or two, and he comes on and gets a red card in like five minutes or something like that. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
During the last
Fucking
month?
Rondon.
That's fucking hilarious, dude.
So it's all going to depend on Calvert-Lewin. I mean, they're going to need to sign a backup or someone of equal caliber just to fill in when Calvert-Lewin's not going to be able to.
Nico, if you're Calvert-Lewin, do you jump ship seeing Richarlison leave? There's a month left. A little more. Do you push in? And I don't want no Kyrie KD slander right now, because I know you're already thinking about hitting me with that. But you see one of your boys imminently leaving the squad. If you're Calvert-Lewin, do you look to jump ship too, or would you relish the challenge? What do you think?
I think I would try to jump ship. And the reason why I say try to jump ship is because I'm looking at Newcastle.
Oh,
right? I'm looking at Newcastle. If I'm Calvert-Lewin and I see my homeboy Richarlison leaving, rumors of Anthony Gordon maybe going to Tottenham as well, right? I'm looking at Newcastle. I think Newcastle will target a center forward this summer. And if you're Calvert-Lewin, I think you try to push that transfer request, right? I think they would target Calvert-Lewin. I feel like that'd be a Newcastle kind of move. I think Calvert-Lewin would be pretty pricey, 50 to 60. I think Calvert-Lewin wants to get a pretty decent move. I don't think he's going to go to Arsenal. He's not going to Chelsea. He's not going to Man City. He's not going to Liverpool. He's not going to United, and he's not going to Tottenham, right? And I highly doubt he's leaving England. That leaves Newcastle or Villa. I guess Villa as well. But Newcastle, if he doesn't try to force a move out, I think next summer when his time comes and Everton is still in a good shape, I think his window has closed because at Newcastle will have signed a center forward, striker, and they will need Calvert-Lewin. So, answer to your question: force to move out, like KD and Kyrie.
Wow.
I gotta get in there, bro.
There's no respect. There's no respect on this pod, bro. There's no respect on this bench.
All right, Diego, we're next, baby.
Well, I think we can, even though they made the loan of Anguissa permanent for Fulham, they haven't made much moves in terms of solid signings or confirmed signings. So we can go past them for now. Leeds have made 3 signings in the form of Aronson, Christensen, and Mark Roca. Looks like a defensive mid. I think other than putting it on Aronson as a 21-year-old, attacking midfielder, what would the repercussions be for Leeds? And it's a similar question to what Everton we're looking at, but I think it may be heavier for them. But what do you think, Nick, would be the future for Leeds if they eventually lose Rafinha? Wherever he goes, it looks like that's pretty much a story that we're gonna hear, we're gonna read soon. But then there's also rumors of this Matthias Klick transfer happening in the coming weeks. You're
really?
losing arguably 2 of your best players in your starting 11. Are Leeds in trouble, or do you think that they can do fine with what they've got? Are they setting up Jesse Marsch for failure, or does Leeds have some sort of like a special plan in mind?
You missed a pretty big player, bro.
Which was?
Calvin Phillips.
Oh, sorry. Oh my God, what am I doing? I said Matthias Klick because I'm thinking of the wrong guy. Calvin Phillips. Yes. Calvin Phillips leaving.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. First of all, you're going to lose Rafinha. You're obviously going to lose. You've already lost Calvin Phillips. They've had you can't even describe words. Like the amount of goals they conceded this past season was an absolute joke. Right? That defense was absolutely terrible. This season, I think it'll be more of the same. I don't see them returning to that. Remember the 2020, 2021 season where everyone was like, oh, Leeds, Marcelo Bielsa, Patrick Bamford, Luke Ayling, you know what I mean? And they played pretty well. I forgot where they finished, but they were pretty decent that season. Obviously, this past season.
They were like 9th or something.
Absolute,
they were up there.
Yeah, they won't get back there. Calvin Phillips, for me, I think is extremely underrated, and I think it'll be very difficult to replace him. And obviously, they brought in Mark Roca from Bayern Munich. I think Calvin Phillips is absolutely phenomenal. Rafinha, I don't know much about Brandon Aronson. Diego, do you know much about him? You kind of follow the USMNT a little bit more?
I think that he's not the same profile as a winger like Rafinha.
Okay.
I don't think that he's gonna be able to fill those boots. He's definitely a young prospect and someone that Jesse Marsch obviously admires and who's been in the Red Bull system, but I don't know if he can convert Aronson into someone that can do the business for them.
I was talking about step ups for Chelsea and Kai Havertz. Jack Harrison is also going to have to make a huge step up as well, because obviously Rafinha's boots is left to fill. Jack Harrison on the other side of the flank, he had a pretty decent first season when Leeds got promoted, and he actually looked pretty well. He's going to have to step up in terms of output and actually help Patrick Bamford, because if it's just Patrick Bamford with no service and a new kid from RB Salzburg, Jack Harrison isn't the best creators, right? He's more of a direct winger, goal-scoring winger. It's going to be all the way it's going to be all on Patrick Bamford. It's not going to end well, right? So unfortunately, I think it'll be more of the same for Leeds, like it was this past season. But what do you think, David? Leeds is a weird one.
I think it is a weird one. They have I think they have this space to be able to adapt to a different playing style. Maybe these players that they're focusing on are going to help facilitate that. But as far as losing their talent, not Click, but Calvin Phillips and Rafinha, I think it just lowers that bar of expectation way, 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 way down, where survival is probably the one thing that they're going to be looking at, and that's it.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Leicester City, they haven't been doing any business at all. I think their probably main focus is like tying down likes of like Wesley Fofana, and whatnot, their key players. I think they'll bounce back. I think this past season they've been absolutely ravaged with injuries. But since they haven't done any business, let's move on. Now, next one here on the list is Liverpool Football Club. Sold Sadio Mane, have sold to Minamino, have sold Marco Grujic, and have sold the legend. I don't know if it's a legend. Cult hero Divock Origi, Lord and Savior. Brought in Darwin Núñez from Benfica, Fabio Carvalho from Fulham, Calvin Ramsey from Aberdeen. I think there's one missing, but let's start off with Darwin Núñez. At the time before he was linked to Liverpool, I liked him. And remember, Gal, when I was bringing up Darwin Núñez a couple months ago? As I've started to do like more research on him, I still liked him, but there's also some pretty glaring flaws in his game. I think if he can be put into a simplified role as striker where he isn't having to do what, let's say, Firmino used to do or what Jota used to do last season, which Jota isn't good at doing. I think he'll bang. And obviously, if you apply Liverpool forward tax, they don't miss on their signings, right? So all these people saying, all these tactical accounts saying, he's a shit first touch, fail comps. Just look, Liverpool don't miss with their forward attacking signings. Simple. And people saying bad first touch, technically inconsistent, which I do agree on. But on the bad first touch, I have an interesting stat for you. Erling Haaland has more possession loss per 90 than Darwin Núñez. Let's talk about Erling Haaland then, right? If you want to see all these failed comps on Darwin Núñez, let's talk about Erling Haaland then. Which he'll bang, obviously. But still, Darwin Núñez will bang. I have no doubt about it. And which I love, he's South American. I need more South Americans in my club. I'm sure you guys would agree.
South American strikers.
You can't beat it. They got that dog in them. Get Uruguayo. Talk to me.
I mean, of course, I'm happy being from Uruguay, so I'm happy to see him come into the Prem, and he's gonna do well. He's gonna do well. I mean, it's very frustrating because it feels like United just not wasted their time, but they just lollygagged this whole signing, and then it just left the door open for you guys just to come in and do what we weren't able to do. So it's bittersweet. Obviously, going to a rival it sucks, but I'm happy for him as a Uruguayan. It's gonna improve his game being on a team like Liverpool, especially with the World Cup coming. It's definitely gonna help improve his game, and he's 6'2". Those set pieces, I mean, it's just gonna we're gonna. I have a feeling we're just gonna be able to call it on a set piece that Alexander Arnold cross in. It's only gonna go one place. Is how I feel it's gonna happen.
The guy's a physical specimen, a gifted athlete. I saw this one stat in the Champions League. He has a second fastest recorded speed kilometers behind. He's 0.03 behind Alphonso Davies, which is notoriously known as probably the best. I mean, the fastest fullback in the world, right?
Yeah,
the fastest fullback. And the guy, Darwin Núñez is a gifted athlete. He's faster. He's stronger than you. I think he'll get a ton of chances. And I saw this one thread from the Liverpool fan on Twitter, and he was saying that Darwin Núñez he scored 6 headed goals, but his volume of receiving headers was very low, right? Diogo Jota scored 6 headed goals as well in the Premier League this season, but obviously a high volume, right? You have Trent Alexander-Arnold, Andrew Robertson, Costa Simicas constantly putting balls into the box. if Darwin Núñez is scoring 6 goals with low amount of crosses, can you imagine what the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andrew Robertson and Costa Simicas is going to do? Like, this guy could break heading goal records, right? Because of what I was reading, the way he uses the way he heads the ball, it's less of like running onto it. It's more of using your neck muscles, right?
Yeah,
Like,
there's
Diego,
power. There's power behind
yeah,
his shot.
yeah, yeah. Diego, give me your take on this Darwin Núñez?
I obviously the trope is going to be I don't want him to be successful for a rival, but then looking at the caliber, looking at the weight of a South American striker, a South American forward, comparing him to the effort that Cavani has put in now, comparing him to what has been shown by other South Americans in terms of like what Agüero, Forlan, and probably other notable ones, but not to run it too long. Especially for his age, it's going to be a player that's uh I say, in my opinion, he's going to offer a promising trajectory. It's going to be exciting to watch that. It really is. And again, just because of his physical attributes, already gives him an advantage to be able to thrive in a system that Liverpool use, which is putting in accurate crosses into the box that he can just gobble up, and he's probably going to get a decent amount of goals in his debut season, hopefully. And let's also hope that Holland does the exact opposite and just, flops completely and forgets how to touch a ball and doesn't know how to score any goals. Because for now, segueing into what you were doing the comparison, City have made that one marquee signing, and then just looking at this endless list of loans that are already ending for all of these other players, and they're coming back to their squad. I think if anything, was that something that went out today? The Fernandinho letter, the goodbye letter
Yes, yes.
to the squad.
Yep.
So that's I'm trying to tie it into City just so that we move along with these teams. I think there's only a few other teams that have actually done some movements in the transfer window right now, but looking at who City might add, it's speculation. And right now on the list of confirmed transfers and seeing him already with the jersey on, Erling Haaland. If you do a head-to-head, Nick and Gat, of who's scoring more, I know that's going to be the one question that's going to be asked over and over, probably leading up to the season. I think I would put my money on possibly Núñez scoring having a greater threshold for the goals that he's putting in. I think so.
Yeah, there's no way Holland outscores Núñez. No way.
Oh, really?
That's
Sucks
what
to
makes you
say
say that?
that.
What makes you say that?
There's just going to be a big aerial threat for Liverpool. I mean, you said it. Jota's does a good job, and he's freaking small. We always wonder, and we just don't know how he does it, and with his frame. And now you're going to throw in this monster in the middle of the box. There's no way.
Yeah, they're very similar. They're very similar in players. Like, they're physical athletes. They're absolutely physical specimens.
right.
They're so direct. Their ball strike is incredible. They overperformed his XG. I think Darwin Núñez overperformed his XG this season. I think he had an XG of 19, and he scored like 30 something goals, which there's a conversation to be had whether he can sustain that. But still, right? They're pretty similar players. I think that with this Darwin Núñez guy, I think it'll be easier for him to bet in because Liverpool, it's a lot more direct, right? I think with obviously in Erling Haaland now in the City situation, we all know how they play, right? I think Erling Haaland he absolutely feeds off open space, right? Whether it balls into the channels on his left foot to the left of the keeper, right? Far post. What City loves to do, and absolutely, I'm sure, I wish there was a stat for this. How many times have they scored cutbacks? It's a joke, right? the
That
amount of
is
times
true.
they've scored goals off of cutbacks, whether it's Raheem Sterling cutting it back, Riyad Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, to
Yeah,
Gabriel
and then
Jesus, Raheem
that's
Sterling.
how you got the uprising of Gundogan shoving in like
Great
a
point,
bunch of goals.
right? Erling Haaland doesn't feed off cutbacks, right? But I think Erling Haaland will score the most, right? I think it'll be close though. I do think it'll be close. But yeah, Man City though, they'll lose Raheem Sterling. They've already lost Gabriel Jesus. Gab, Gabriel Jesus and particularly Raheem Sterling. Raheem Sterling has been so clutch for them. And the 4 Premier League titles that they won, 18-19, we've discussed it before, it's goal contributions. 2017, 2018, played on the right with the front three of Sergio Aguero, Leroy Sané. Last season was probably his worst year at City. This season, I think he was actually pretty good, particularly in the back end of the season. Do you see City? Do you think them losing Sterling and Gabriel Jesus would be like, it's all right? Do you think they're a pretty big loss, even if they do replace him?
Not that big. Not that big. I mean, yeah, they both have come in clutch in their time, but it wasn't consistent enough for me to consider it such a big loss just because of the way City play. They always have an outlet somewhere. It's not always, oh, we have to go to this guy. They have just the way they play makes they just open up a lot of options. So no, they haven't been consistent enough for me to consider it a big loss.
Okay. Last. I just want to touch on this real quick. I think Pep Guardiola and I think his front three will change. So these past couple seasons, we've seen wide outlets, right? I.e., Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus out on the wing, fast forwards who can run outlets, run channels, right? This season, they're going to lose the two of them. I think Pep's intention is to move to more ball to feet wingers. For example, Jack Grealish, Riyad Mahrez, Phil Foden, and just have an absolute direct, absolute monster in Erling Haaland at striker, which you've never had before. Even with Aguero and Haaland are completely different profiles of strikers. I think that'll be an interesting thing to see in how Pep's kind of changed on his wingers from, like I said, more wide outlets to more ball to feet players who like to receive the ball and cut in. Mahrez, Jack Grealish, taking on players, right? But let's go over to the other side of Manchester.
You got Pereira back on loan.
Before I want to move this on to you guys. Before I want to move this to you guys, the way Man United do their transfers is absolutely the worst. Like they just drag it on. Like how many every transfer that they've been linked to, apart from like Varane and Ronaldo, it's just been an absolute saga and drag on. But either way, got Man United, man. No, what's going on, dude?
A whole lot of nothing is going on. A whole lot of let's just play with our thumbs instead of actually get down to business and get shit done.
What do you mean? We got Martial back on loan. What do you mean?
Oh fuck yeah, the great. We're gonna challenge now with that. I don't want to say anything bad about him, just in case he hears this. I don't need him coming after me. we prefer to spend our time trying to get someone that we don't need because we need to fill other spots. So we're losing out on all these other prospects. It's frustrating. It's all going to come down to the very end, like it always does. And then it's just going to be what's left over. That's what we're going to get. Is what it feels like.
There's no way you guys don't sign a center defensive midfielder, right? There's no way you guys don't. No way.
That
No
should have
way.
been the first thing we tackled.
And it hasn't been, which to Gat's point, who's left?
I can't think of any profiles who suit Ten Hag's system and the way he likes to utilize his defensive midfielder as of this moment. I think Calvin Phillips was that guy. I think he was that guy.
I think Calvin Phillips was that guy too, but Leeds would never, ever, ever, ever sell Calvin Phillips or Mateus Klick, who I thought he was, to Man United. Never. And now you have a cut rate player, a player of great value is what I'm referring to in Bissouma gone. you have other players that are left, which I
Chouameni.
think Chouameni gone. Declan
Rice is not gonna
Are,
happen.
Yeah. Oh
are you
yeah, I forgot about Rice.
are United going to be forced into paying 90 million for Declan Rice? I think they may even get to that point, but again,
the only
thing that has me somewhat calm at the moment is that hopefully Ten Hag has some sort of a plan to utilize what's there and has identified someone who can better fit whatever system he's trying to implement. Other than that, the fact that they have done absolutely nothing in the window at this point, looking at what other clubs have already recruited, and then noticing that the player pool is dwindling in terms of the ones that would fit the positions that United is specifically lacking in, it's just it doesn't leave me confident with what they may come up with by the end of the window.
You guys still think probably Frankie De Jong will probably happen, right?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. And in fact, if let's say we believe rumors that he's already stated that he wants to stay at Barcelona, it comes down to what the player wants too. Like, yeah, the clubs can agree a fee and a package, but like I would think that De Jong still has a say when it comes to those negotiations on like the terms that the player wants. And if he has some sort of like exorbitant demands where it falls through, I don't know. I don't see that happening. I don't see the De Jong transfer happening because there hasn't been much in terms of movement. Yeah, you could give as many Fabrizio tweets credit as you want,
Fucking fraud.
but uh, I don't know, man. I have no the fact that the players in has been zero has me leaning towards that. I don't think the De Jong transfer is happening. Of course, I can absolutely be wrong. I wouldn't mind being wrong, but I don't see it happening at this moment.
Guys, trust me. Mark my words. It will happen. Frankie De Jong, I rate him. I think he's stagnated ever since his move to Barca. I think he was pretty good his first year, but ever since not surprisingly, but Ronald Koeman probably got the best out of Frankie De Jong. The seasons where Ronald Koeman wasn't manager, I think he's kind of stagnated a little bit. I still rate him highly, like very, very highly. But mark my words, if United land Frankie De Jong and they don't sign a six, this will be Paul Pogba 2.0. This will be Paul.
I agree with that. I have no contest.
Absolutely.
I have no contest towards that. Paul Pogba has put me in a position where at least for myself as a United fan, I have no retort, I have no comeback, I have no response. And that's the sad part of it, is that if he does come and he's not implemented in the right way, it's going to be the same scenario all over again. Because what's the package? 60 plus add-ons
It's
because
like
they want
six.
like
I think the
85?
latest is like 65, I think, and then whatever the additional should be what Barcelona wants, which is the
So yeah,
85
an
range.
evaluation of over 80 million, let's put it there conservatively. I can totally see that happening. Another Pogba situation again. A quality player put into a position or a system that doesn't get the best out of him. Hopefully, he doesn't come with the same Pogba attitude, I guess, which we've seen develop over the last few seasons. But I can see that happening. I have no defense to that. I really don't.
I have to say this. So United are linked to Lisandro Martinez from the Eredivisie, Anthony from the Eredivisie. I feel like I'm missing someone. Julian Timber from the Eredivisie. Is that it? That's you guys were linked from right from there, right? And
From that
Malacia
league?
from Feyenoord. That Dutch left back. But
Yeah.
That
here's
one
my
might
point, though.
that one might is probably going to go through
Here's
from
my
what it
point.
sounds like.
I really don't like the fact that he's solely targeting players from this league, and I'll tell you why. And I'm currently on transfer market, Eredivisie players, departing players from that league to leagues around the world, right? Let's start off real quick. Frankie de Jong to Barcelona hasn't worked out. Matthijs de Ligt to Juventus hasn't worked out. Chucky Lozano to Napoli hasn't worked out. And this is from fee from highest to lowest, right? Davinson Sanchez to Tottenham hasn't worked out. Hakeem Ziyech to Chelsea hasn't worked out. Denny Van de Beek hasn't worked out. Memphis Depay to United hasn't worked out. Malik to Napoli worked out a little bit. He's been decent for Napoli. Daniel Malin to Borussia Dortmund, highly rated off his Euros last summer, hasn't worked out. Steven Bergwijn hasn't worked out. Obviously, Rudy Van Nistelrooy obviously worked out. That was fucking 20 years ago, right? David Klaassen to Everton. I don't know much about that one.
Nah, man,
to
no
Madrid.
way.
Didn't work out. Was he signed to Madrid? Didn't work out. Luis Suarez, obviously to Liverpool, worked out. Sebastian Haller, oh no, this is from Ajax to I believe Dortmund. Sergio Dest hasn't worked out. This whole list from players, majority of them haven't worked out. And this is where I go back to the translation. It's tough to say because Ten Hag is new, but the translation from these players from this league to other leagues hasn't worked out. I really don't like the fact that he's solely targeting this league, because if we're going out just track record, majority of these transfers, like 70 to 80% of them, didn't work out. So it's an interesting one, though.
Right now, just like Diego mentioned earlier, we're just at the point where we just have to hope that Ten Hag knows what he's doing. And I mean, if he is targeting players specifically from this league, I mean, the Ajax players, it makes sense that he's going to target a couple of them because he just played with them. They know his system. We just have to hope that everyone he's played with before just is what he's banking on, is what it feels like, so that it's less players that he has to worry about having to input his philosophy into. Yeah.
That's pretty eye-opening, though. That's pretty eye-opening, looking at that list of players from a specific league without regard to where they went, but just like leaving the Eredivisie in that section of the footballing world and spreading out to other leagues, and seeing that the majority of them haven't been able to adapt well. That's pretty. I think that's pretty big. Hopefully the exception can be seen, but then just looking at it just off of that list, just doing like the eye test, that's pretty concerning, putting it in that way, presenting it that way.
From number one of Frankie de Jong, 86 million euros, leaving in 2019, all the way down to 10th place in order to Steven Bergwijn leaving to Tottenham for 30 million euros. I can confidently say all those 10 players didn't adapt at all. So yeah, it's that league. Is it on fraud watch? Could be on fraud watch. Who knows? But let's move on. I'm fairly confident this episode has gone on for a minute. But next club is two more clubs left. Newcastle United. I've loved their business so far. What would you guys say?
I think so too.
From Lille. Yeah.
My Botman, I don't know much about, other than the fact that he's definitely a promising a prospect for his age, for his talent, and all that. But what I like the most, even though it may be like a competition type signing, but that Nick Pope move to Newcastle right now, I think it shows intent in terms of solidifying their 11. Whether he benches the keeper that's already there, which it was switching between two of them, wasn't it?
It was Darlow and Dubravka, but then I think Darlow, he got injured, and then Dubravka just did better, so they just kept Dubravka.
I rate Nick Pope. I think he's an excellent goalkeeper. Like many other goalkeepers, there are shortcomings and there are definitely strengths. But I think for Newcastle to move. I think it's moving a step forward to sign Nick Pope, and I think that already shows intent, which they then doubled down on with someone like Botman. And I think obviously the window's not over, and hopefully they're not done. But I think that at least the names that are going to pop up for this team, they're going to show uh they're going to show that they want to invest smart. And of course the meme is going to be like, oh, these guys went from, photoshops of Mbappe joining with the Newcastle jersey on. But hey, I really feel like, I think the by the end of the window, I think I would hope that maybe Newcastle would be among the top. I would even say the top 5 clubs in terms of like their business, for players signed.
And I've loved how they haven't gone out. They haven't even been linked to these washed up players. Like I said, Isco, James Rodriguez. Like you could easily see like once a team gets all this money, they're gonna start targeting these players. This visit that they've done so far has been absolutely lovely. Especially that Sven Botman signing, 22 years old, highly rated left back from Lille, left footed. Like they're not going out and signing some fucking. I'm trying to think of a name right now, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? You know what I'm trying to say.
I do.
But all right, let's move on. Last club to wrap this up. Tottenham Hotspur. They started out the window pretty hot. Before there were Charleston news, they started out the window pretty hot. Then it kind of died down. But Gat, this Tottenham window, is it? What are you saying?
It's an interesting window. I mean, I know we were talking about it in the chat before as well. They're definitely working on getting their depth in order. But even just the signings that they've already brought in, I think it's I'm afraid it might be hard to pick on Tottenham next season, because I think these signings are just gonna help them move in the right direction that they need to be moving in. Um, it's just a matter of how they're gonna line up, though. We'll see. I just don't know how they're gonna
Absolutely.
line up. I have no clue.
And I can't believe how they just managed to pick up Vis Bissouma for 29 million euros. Maybe it has to do with that, obviously, Bissouma's case, right? Brighton maybe just wanted to offload him. I don't know. I have no idea. But still, if we just look at it at base point, 29 million euros for Vis Bissouma, one of the highly rated center mids outside of the top 6, right? To pick up Ivan Perisic from Inter, which, right, Tottenham, they don't win shit, right? Ivan Perisic comes in. He's won multiple league titles. He's been to a World Cup final, league titles with Bayern, league titles with Inter, league titles with Borussia Dortmund. Absolutely winner. And he's probably one of the best, like probably like a top 3, top 2 left wing back in the world. So Diego, I know you kind of clown Tottenham Hotspur a little bit, but give me your thoughts on this window and obviously Richarlison.
I think it's worrying. I think it's worrying because they're looking at players to strengthen what they already have. And just like I was saying, like it's worrying to see them reinforce instead of scrambling to replace. And it shows that, like, yes, he was on a free, but and you know what? I don't want to slander Cavani because he did a lot of work, and he put a lot of work on his shoulders when he was fit and healthy. But the Cavani signing came for United, just for the contrast. He was on a free as well. He's definitely older, but he had to fill a role that wasn't occupied. Whereas Spurs are reinforcing with Ivan Perisic on a free, 33 years old, left mid, left-sided player, which clearly is not going to be like, you're not dropping someone like Son anytime soon. But now you have a backup, which I didn't see previously with the Richarlison signing, even though it hasn't been made like official like yet in terms of like a club announcement or whatever. But that pending, it just shows their intent that, okay, we have Conte has seen a solid block of players, and he knows which ones are going to play where, because he didn't really change up the lineup very much, right, guy? I don't think he did. He put out the players that worked for him. He identified the wingers. He identified the wing backs that worked best for him. He had that whole Doherty revival and whatnot. and now they're on a mission to be able to strengthen and plug up these positions where, okay, going further, and the point was made in the chat earlier, where now they're going further in other competitions. Now they want to make sure if there's ever an injury or if there's ever a moment where they're missing out, where they have a spell of Kane not doing well, for example, if they want to play him there, now they can call on Richarlison to probably drift in that area, in that central area, because he's done it before. And now you don't have to wait for Kane to kick into gear for the first, like, what happened last season, the 2-3 months where he had his dry spell.
Yep.
It's
Before Christmas, yeah.
Looking at it objectively, man, it's scary that they're now moving on, identifying a group of players that are gonna help bolster what they have. And I'm pretty sure Antonio Conte, him being the manager, knowing what his first 11 is and saying, okay, now I want players to be able to back them up or to switch in that are going to fit the profiles that I need. And I think that's incredible. I really do.
And even for
Yeah.
even for just competition, I mean, you look at the Perisic signing. I mean, yeah, he's probably going to play that left-sided wingback role. Well, when Reguilon becomes fit and available, they're going to be fighting for that spot. So it's going to create some good football out of both of them.
Yeah. The Ivan Perisic signing, I love. I've always rated Ivan Perisic throughout his career. I think he's been absolutely, like, the way he takes on players, his ability to get into the final third and into the penalty box. I'm currently looking at his FB ref stat. He averages 3.41 shot creating actions per 90. Let me search up Reguilon's real quick. But yeah, this Ivan Perisic signing I absolutely love, especially on the free transfer. Just everything about it, I hope bang for sure. If he flops, long day for me. But let's look at statistics. So Sergio Reguilon's is it's not that bad, but it's 2.44, right? Just last point, this Ivan Perisic signing is absolutely fantastic. And I think he starts for most teams in Europe. But that concludes this episode. Got it. How long was that?
That was a while.
That was a while.
Well, we
That was
can.
a while.
We don't even have to say the time. It felt like a while, but we did go through most of the teams who did business in this window. Diego, were you gonna say something?
Yeah. I was gonna say that we did run through the teams that have the confirmed transfers, and we'll just have to wait and see how the transfer window ends. For now, though, there have been some squads that have done some serious business and others that have done absolutely nothing, which is interesting to see. But it was just putting a bow on the conversation for now, and hoping that we get at least a good deadline day that makes that it's usually exciting to look forward to.
Sir. But that's it. That concludes this episode. I hope you guys enjoy listening to this transfer talk. We'll be back with transfer talk very soon, though. I love transfers. I'm sure you guys do as well. I just love talking about transfers. Just the way if this player fits into this team, why they're targeting this player, will this player fit under this manager, et cetera, et cetera. I love the summer window, even if your team doesn't do business. Actually, maybe not. But either way, we are the bench warmers, bench with the voice, where the bench is always warm.
Peace, everybody.